pledge will be led by the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Johnson.
I'm here this morning just to address education. How do we know? Because the people have told us so. We represent the ideal way to alleviate the shortages is by ensuring that children of all races and both genders receive the basic grounding in science and mathematics that will prepare them to pursue careers as scientists, engineers, and technologists. Is it not time then for America to grow morally? For those who fear to answer this question, I will answer it for them. The time is now.
Now more than ever, what happens in Washington impacts us here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Your Congresswoman, Eddie Bernice Johnson, will help you understand what goes on inside the federal government and share perspectives from today's leading policymakers and opinion leaders. And now, your Congresswoman, Eddie Bernice Johnson.
Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report. The topic of today's show is college affordability, and my guest is Pedro de la Torre, an advocacy senior associate of Campus Progress. And Campus Progress is part of the Center for American Progress, and it helps young advocates, activists, and journalists make their voices heard now and become leaders in the future. Mr. de la Torre joined Campus Progress in 2005 after working with UT Watch, a student-based watchdog group for the University of Texas. I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. He graduated from the University of Texas at Austin, and let me welcome you to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
You know, there is a lot of talk now about everybody needing to go to college. I don't believe that, but I think that the most of our young people need to go. And it's becoming a little bit more difficult than it was in the past because of the cost, and when you stop the registration, they go up on fees and that sort of thing. So how important do you think that it is for young people to have an opportunity to go to college?
It's really important, and it's really important both for them and for the country as a whole. Right now, if you get a college degree of any kind, you're less likely to be unemployed. So, I have some numbers here. If you have a bachelor's degree, unemployment rate's about 5%, which is still pretty high. But if you have less than a college degree, it's about 15%, or less than a high school degree, it's about 15%. So that's right there a very important thing that people should consider. Also, if you have a bachelor's degree, you make about $20,000 more a year than if you just had a high school degree. So it's really important for the students, and as far as the country as a whole, we really aren't giving people the training and education that they need. The Lumina Foundation estimates that there'll be 16 million jobs that won't be filled with people that require a college degree by 2025.
We're bringing in a number of H-1 visas now to fill positions, most especially in my area because it's kind of high tech. I am concerned about all of the focus just on college education. I think some of it ought to be on technical education.
Right.
We're losing a lot of our talent, and we're losing manufacturing because of that. But at a time when we have a economy that's pretty depressed, we need to have someone who will repair shoes and who will repair watches and clocks and whatever. We're losing those talents. So I think there are a number of people who are very skilled at those areas that ought to be directed perhaps in a different direction. And we do have an excellent school in Texas called the Texas State Technical Institute that has had, it started in Waco, now it has a number of chapters, which I think is great. They say that their graduates are 100% employed, but still back to a college education is very, very important because most of our jobs, and that was the reason why it was supposed to make us not feel so badly when manufacturing left this country, is that the poor paying jobs would move out of the country and we'd come in with larger paying jobs. We're still waiting for that to happen. But that cannot happen without them being well prepared. And so how much now will the average public university cost?
Well, it depends on what kind. So private four-year institution costs almost $40,000 on average as far as cost of attendance. A public four-year is about $30,000 or so, and then a two-year degree is much less. It's $19,000 to $20,000. Those aren't net prices though. So a lot of times you get assistance from your school. That doesn't include grants you get from the government, state and federal. So there shouldn't be sticker shock. You should still definitely try to apply, but it's still very expensive.
It is very expensive. I'm told that if you finish high school with some good grades, there's no reason for you not to go to college, but it doesn't promise you won't graduate with a large percentage of the money in loans that you have to pay back. So that kind of neutralizes to a certain extent, but it's still better to have to pay that loan back than not to have the education. How fast is it going up now?
Very, very fast. The category of school that's rising the fastest is public for a university, and the tuition and fees there have increased almost 60% in 10 years, and that's after inflation. Other schools are in the 30% range as far as how fast they've grown in the last 10 years.
Well, it's so interesting. Some schools are so well endowed, and you always wonder how the endowment is being used. I know you need to keep the caucus of the money, but sometimes those are the schools that cost the most.
Definitely. They are the schools that cost the most. Sometimes they're also the schools that can afford to help you the most. So for example, Harvard and Yale, they have really great programs that make it affordable if you manage to get in. Getting in is kind of the trick at those schools though.
Yeah, I'm told that if you get into Harvard, you will do well.
Right.
They have a lot of support systems in place to make sure that the students make it. And they make sure the student has the aptitude and the ability to make it before they come, which is a compliment. But those schools sometimes are a little bit more expensive. I don't think there are very many much more expensive than the University of Texas, though.
The University of Texas is very expensive, and when I was there, it went up 27% in a year.
27% per year.
Well, when I was there, one of the years was 27% increase.
Well, that's a lot of money, and I think they're the second most endowed university in the country, behind Harvard.
Right.
So, does this keep a lot of students from going there?
I think it does. I mean, it's not just the sticker price, like I said, but a lot of students are finding it hard to find the money to go to college. In fact, if you're from a family that makes less than $70,000, there is, even after your expected family contribution, even after your loans and your grants, a gap between all of that money and the cost of attendance for college. So that's something that's very scary. Now a lot of students find a way to make that up, but that's something that I think we have to start addressing. That students, especially low income and middle income students, have a real hard time paying for college.
Now, most students look for jobs, but when you have a university as large as the University of Texas, can Austin accommodate all of them with some jobs on the side?
Well, no, not Austin. A lot of my friends from college have moved elsewhere. But you know, the good thing about Austin is that it's, you know, something like the 15th biggest city in the U.S. It's not just a college town. So there are some jobs, especially if you're into high tech or government. But
has it ever been explained why college is so expensive?